too loud. Three, two, one. What up? What up? What up? What's happening? What's going on, folks out there, man? Uh, it's your boys in here, man, for I'm saying podcast, man. We've been gone for a minute, had some life stuff happening, you know what I'm saying, some family stuff that happened, and of course, when you get back, you gotta catch up on house stuff. But we back up in here, man. Of course, we're gonna talk about the Biden Trump presidential debate, the debacle that CNN uh, created, which created a messaging storm, if you will. False messages and stuff like that, but you know what I'm saying. But we're gonna get into it, man, and get into some other things, some other observations that we noticed that we've been having conversations about. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, what's up, bro?
Oh man, nothing much, man. Just trying to adjust to life and keep on going, man, and
Mhm.
really trying to touch some people.
Yeah.
That's what I've been doing in the midst of our family um stuff at the same time with the passing.
Mhm.
Um, so man, I just been in deep conversation with a lot of people, man, just so they can
Mhm.
understand what's going on.
Yeah, yeah, man. And of course, let's go ahead and talk about the debate. You know what I'm saying? Because we were talking about it. Of course, we were on the road. Driving. On my way to Delaware, so I'm just listening to it. You know what I'm saying? Just listening to it, and the whole time I'm listening to it, I'm like, Trump is lying the whole time. I mean, you know what I'm saying? And then, of course, CNN, they don't make it any better because they wait until after the debate to say, oh, yeah, Trump told these many lies. And it's just like, well, the damage was already done. You know what I'm saying? The damage was already done, you know what I'm saying? Because, again, and of course, the narrative of Joe Biden being old, right? You know what I'm saying?
Mhm. Mhm.
People knew he was old and he got elected 4 years ago. You know what I'm saying? But I think also what's coming out too is that people not understanding the role of the president, what the office of the president is. You know what I'm saying? And people think that the president is in charge of the country, and the president is not in charge of the country. That is a false view of what the office of the presidency is. Does the part, and I think we talked about this last time, but it's bears repeating again. Like the office of the president is basically whatever you make it to be. You know what I'm saying? Kiss, shaking hands and kissing babies. You know what I'm saying? And of course, getting on TV. Making sure people understand. What the temperature is in America. You know what I'm saying? But the media has been doing a terrible job of explaining that to people because Trump gets on there and talk about how inflation is high. Inflation is not high. You know what I mean? We have one of the lowest inflations coming out of the pandemic. While other countries are still dealing with issues from the pandemic and things of that nature. You know what I mean? Unemployment's low across racial, ethnic categories, across age groups, and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? Now, what is happening is greedflation.
Mhm.
But again, our media is terrible. They don't bring that up. You know what I mean? And shrinkflation also. Well, what shrinkflation is that um, the best way I described it was like people are paying like a 2 liter soda. People are
Mhm.
paying 3 liter prices for a 2 liter bottle of soda. You know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
Biden kind of he did brought it up. I think he passed an executive order in order to deal with the shrinkflation issue.
Mhm.
Um, because people talk about the air in the chips, the air in a bag of chips. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what's happening. Like they are charging you more by giving you less of a product. So
Yeah.
we have shrinkflation going on. We have greedflation, which is again an article came out a couple months ago talking about how these companies are going to drop prices, on their goods. Well, they could have always done that.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
right. So you know what I'm saying. So they just now like, oh, we're being benevolent. We're gonna drop prices. You know what I'm saying. So I said all that to say that you know what I mean. There was moments in that debate to where Trump was talking about inflation but he was misrepresenting what exactly is going on in the economy. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah,
Yeah, what's your
yeah, yeah.
thoughts on the debate? Hmm.
So, so I first want to start with we got also got to understand that the president sets the budget
Hmm.
for Congress,
Hmm.
and with that comes the agenda.
Hmm.
Um, now, when when you have that dynamic where Trump in 2016, when he set his budget, he his budget had trillions of dollars of cuts, and and again on top of the cuts, he had the tax break for, you could just look it up, for 0.7% of the population, that the threshold was you had to make I think it was over $7 million or so,
Hmm.
give or take. But those are the people who got the tax break.
Right.
But that was in his agenda,
Right.
and also in his budget. So back to your question, was my thoughts was, um after watching the debate and then realizing that every question, Trump was telling a lie on every question.
Every question. Every
Like,
question.
that it's no exaggeration.
Right.
If Trump did something in his presidency, he blamed it on Joe Biden
Hmm.
in the debate, because again, the outcomes didn't happen until Joe Biden's election.
Right.
It didn't show up until then.
Right.
So again, you're talking about presidential lag. Like, what people got to understand is presidential and economic lag. That's what
Right.
it is.
And
And like,
that's what Trump experienced during his 4 years. He experienced the lag of the Obama presidency and the
yes,
policies that was passed during the Obama presidency that led to low unemployment rates for African Americans
yeah,
and so on and so forth. High in the economy, people earning more money and things of that nature. Trump didn't do anything.
correct. Because
Yeah.
you can go back to, you can go actually back to year two of Trump, in between 2007, 17, and 18. You can go back to those policies, and Trump was signing more executive orders during that period. And what was happening in that period, you had the largest trucking companies that was filing bankruptcy. You had oil companies that was filing bankruptcies. Like, this is stuff is all documented
Yeah.
to show this was the start
Hmm.
of inflation, the
Right.
inflationary period
That's what I was
that
going.
people,
That's what I was going to talk about. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So when you seen year three, 2019, you started to see a decline in the economy. You also starting to see the decline in the jobs in 2019, which he already didn't have great job numbers for the first 2 years. So when the pandemic happened, you add all of those things up. That's why you had a mess at 2020. And people just don't understand how this whole thing works, and how one thing that happened leads to another, but it doesn't show up until 2 years later.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
and pretty much, realizing what Joe Biden was trying to do was
Hmm.
trying to combat all of those little things,
Right.
and you can't combat multiple lies in 2 minutes.
Right. Right. But you just
You just
got. You just
Yeah,
can't do it. You just can't do it. Yeah.
you can't do it.
Yeah.
And again, it really took people to listen.
Hmm.
You had to listen. You had to put out your biases. Even how I felt about Trump or whatever, I still was willing to listen how he was going to answer questions.
How he was answering questions. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
He generally didn't answer the question. He
yeah,
didn't answer any of the questions.
Yeah, he
He just
he evaded the question, and then
mm,
he also blamed Biden
mhm.
in most of the questions that he was asked.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
again, that is the tactic
Mhm.
of the right, because if you are not misleading or misdirecting people
Right.
because you clearly don't have great policies, which showed up in his 4 years,
Mhm.
like, no, it was inevitable for Trump to end up in the way that he ended, regardless on if it was a pandemic or not. We
Yeah.
were we were going to have a recession.
A recession, and people are missing that point. People, because again, one of the things that me and you talked about was like, people are all of a sudden now getting plugged in.
Mhm,
They've been disappeared for 4 or 5 years, and now they want to be plugged in.
mhm,
But the one of the things that people don't know is that during 2019, to prevent a recession, Trump was pumping, or told the Fed to pump money into the market because there was a recession because of the Trump tax cuts. Because you start to see, like you talked about, you start to see job loss across certain industries, and also you had the Trump tariffs, which again, job losses across certain industries. You know what I'm saying? The Biden administration implemented, had to pump in so much money to prevent like catastrophe during the pandemic. When the Biden administration took over, and Trump's
mhm.
things like, oh, he had to spend so much money. Like, yeah, but Biden also made cuts in the right areas. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because like you said, the president is will put forth the budget, Congress put forth the budget, they
Mhm,
go and they negotiate, you know what I'm saying?
mhm.
And every iteration of Trump's budget, he cut funding for HBCUs. He zeroed out funding for HBCUs, and it was a Democrat, black, you know what I mean? Alma,
And
I
Doug
think Alma,
Jones.
well, Doug Jones, but yeah,
Yeah.
Doug Jones. But you had Alma Adams was the one
Mhm,
who really put the funding back
mhm.
into HBCUs. And if you can go look this up, is out there. That
Yeah.
information out there. And of course, Trump is like this thing about him giving more money for HBCUs. That's just not true. You know what I mean? Biden has given more money for HBCUs. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Than any
Yeah.
president. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
He wanted to cut $117 billion
Yes.
from HBCUs.
Yes.
Like,
Hmm.
people look, man. This information isn't just at like it's something that you gotta literally go out and go see.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because again, if you're relying on the you know the large media to sit
Right.
back and report something like this, who they just put out a list of all of the major media companies today, all supported Trump.
Hmm.
And when I say supported Trump, they donated to Trump campaign.
Because Trump is
So
money. Trump is money. He brings money to the, you know what I'm saying? He brings money. He
y-
brings entertainment.
yeah,
He brings viewers, right?
yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
So they need Trump as much as Trump needs them.
Yeah, uh-huh. Yeah.
And again, people have to understand all of this stuff. Like, there's no way you can't be the richest guy on the island by yourself.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to have other adjacent rich people to keep you richer.
Hmm.
And this is the game that they're playing. The
Hmm.
game that they're playing is they're using Trump to line their pockets,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
Trump is using them to line his pocket.
Yeah. No, that's just the truth, man. It is our media has been complacent in the ignorance of the everyday, the voter that doesn't tune in. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm,
The
mhm.
voter that doesn't tune in until 4 or 5 months to an election. You know what I'm saying? And then they want to, because me and you were talking, and I saw somebody. made a post on their little page, Facebook page, whatever. Like, every 4 years, they trying to convince you to do this and that. Like, no, it's not every 4 years. Like, it is every month, every day. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
politicians don't just take off and then 4 years later they're like, oh, hey, by the way, today is the day I decided to do something. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not how that works, right? Because as American voters, Americans don't want to take responsibility for their own ignorance. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think a lot of Americans, uh, um, Americans who Trump appeals to, right? Individuals who don't search information, individuals who don't read, you know what I'm saying? Like who don't read articles, who don't read anything, you know what I'm saying? They'll tell you they read, but they don't, you know what I'm saying? Um, you know, that's that can't really comprehend, you know what I'm saying? Like listen to how Trump talks, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. And it's hard for these people to really decipher the
hmm
information.
hmm
And again, man, what I have been experiencing is because people can do the task of reading and writing, right?
hmm
On the simplest level in America, most people,
hmm
um, they they also have the arrogance to believe that they have a mind of an Aristotle. If I'm saying,
Mhm.
you know
Mhm,
what I'm saying?
mhm.
Like, so it's no correction to, like, yeah, I can read, but like I do struggle with comprehension.
Mhm,
I
mhm, mhm.
like it's no like
Mhm.
thinking about that.
Right, right, right,
It,
right.
the first thing they will do is go back and tell themselves that they were right.
Right, right.
And that's the arrogance that people have today, instead of just, you know, oh man, I didn't know that.
Exactly, yeah. Oh, man, let me go find that, and let me go see what you're talking about,
Yeah,
man. Let me see
yeah,
let me see if what you're telling me is the truth or is right, right? They're just
yeah,
like, "Oh, no, Trump said it." So, Trump said it,
yeah,
Biden's old, so that's what I'm going with, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, it is, you know, I mean, it really is sad, man. It's sad, the state that we're in, because one of those things that me and you talked about was like how coming out of the pandemic, people are are easily fooled now. They're
hmm,
easily fooled right now, right? They're so consumed with entertainment or being entertained, right? Because that's all people were doing during the pandemic, right? For 2 years, just sitting around being entertained. So
hmm,
now, you know what I'm saying? Part of those 2 years, your life got affected by policies that were passed by a former president and the current president. You know what I'm saying? And you're not examining which one of those policies was better for your life. Your taxes are going to go up next year. Shoot,
yeah,
Project 2025 happened right after January 6th. You know what I'm saying? You just now had the Supreme Court that just gave Trump, like, basically,
uh-oh.
with their current ruling. Hmm. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah. No, it froze for a little bit, but
Oh, my bad.
no, you good. But no, you're right, right? But I like to say, actually, Project 2025 actually been going on for the last 20 years.
Oh no, yeah, and that's what I was telling somebody. Like, it's actually since Ronald Reagan. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
it's since Ronald Reagan. The 2025 is not new. This is this is like this. Republicans see an opportunity to be like, all right, we couldn't get anything done with Newt Gingrich, contract of
Mhm,
America. That was in
mhm,
the early 2000s,
mhm,
right? 20 years. That's what you're talking, right?
mhm.
really get anything. They just got Roe v. Wade passed that took 50 years. Well,
Yep.
they're not going to wait another 50 years in order to implement a lot of the issues that they talked about during the Ronald Reagan era, which was the moral majority. This is where you get the Christian nationalist part of 2025 is to have a curriculum or something, you know what I mean? That is an American curriculum, and all you learn about is
Yeah.
America, some bull crap like that. Again, that's Mussolini. You're talking Hitler.
Mhm.
It is fascist, you know what I'm saying? Moral majority. I mean, you're talking Heritage Foundation, all these things that they believed in the 1980s. They see their window to be like, we are going to do it now. We couldn't do it in the 80s and the 90s, and we couldn't get it done in the 2000s with George Bush, you know, but we see our window right now.
Well, we talked about it before, right, on one of the podcasts. If you go back to 65,
Hmm.
right, when the civil rights bill passed, and then you had the party switch in 67 and so forth, started to really start to speed up on the switch. Um, they have been trying to get rid of civil rights since then.
Yeah.
So like you're saying, people have to understand that when you think that this is a joke, or you think that this because it couldn't happen, that in these people mind, this is the only chance that they have now.
Right.
They are no longer chipping away at it. They are willing to take the swing.
Right. Exactly. Because they have the courts. They like we have the courts. If Donald Trump, if you get the Senate and you keep the House, you get Donald Trump, Clarence Thomas, and can't remember about the justice. There's going to be two of them who are going to retire. So now,
Gorsuch,
no, not Gorsuch. I can't remember. Anyway, I want to
Alito,
Scalia. Scalia. No,
no, Scalia
Alito's
died.
gone. No, Alito died too. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's two justices who are old. I can't remember, but they're right leaning. Um,
Hmm.
they are going to retire. I want to say it's Roberts, but I'm gonna say it's Thomas and
Uh,
Roberts.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. But they're going to retire, and Republicans are going to do the exact same thing they did with Coney Barrett and Kavanaugh and the other person they put on the bench there. They're going to put somebody young. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
They already gerrymandered. They already gerrymandered states to their advantage. You know what I'm saying? So on the local level, you know what I'm saying. So we
Hmm.
have the most trifectas, you know what I mean, that we've ever had, you know, in the history of this country, you know what I'm saying, both on the Republican and the Democrat side. I think
Hmm.
there's only like two or three states that aren't a trifecta. Um, but like they've already put it in motion. You know what I'm saying? This is their swing. They are going to take their swing, and it just I won't say it cracks me up, man, but it just irks me a bit when people who again do not tune into these things, you know what I mean, read about it, especially in a historical context.
Yeah.
They don't understand that that Trump saying he doesn't know anything about Project 2025 is an illusion. It's the man, it's the Wizard of Oz, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
You know what I mean? It's the man behind the curtain. He knows about 2025. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? That's not anything new. It's just he has to deny, deny. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And then once he get in, they missed their opportunity with Trump during the first 2 years because Trump was being an idiot and not filling his cabinet and stuff like that. They say they are not going to do this time. They are going to fill every cabinet seat. It's the opposite of what Ronald Reagan did. Ronald Reagan didn't fill a bunch of seats, so they missed their opportunity. Then they missed their opportunity. Of course, Bush. And of course, they had to deal with Obama for 6 years. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
They said they ain't going to do it this time. They're
Yeah.
going to fill every seat. They're going to fill every
Yep.
seat. They're going to get rid of the Department of Education. They're going to cut the VA. They're going to get rid of the EPA. They're going to reduce everything down to the states as much as possible. And again,
Yeah.
if you live in a state that's hostile to you, you live in Florida, where they got a don't say gay act, stop woke act. Like Like even if you get if they get rid of the Department of Education, right? They put the like, well, you if you live in a state where they're already pulling public funds and
Mhm.
putting and creating vouchers that are going to private schools, well, what do you think is going to happen to the public schools?
Yeah.
Kids aren't going to like, yo, it
Oh,
is they are not.
I can tell you what happened to
Hmm.
him. You know,
Hmm.
we wasn't alive during this time, but we seen the remnants of it.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Philadelphia, prime example.
Hmm.
Their school, Chicago, prime example, was their schools went into disarray,
Hmm.
unrepairable. And like Philadelphia is still going through that now,
Yeah,
trying to fix when they had a Republican, you know what I'm saying, in
yeah, yeah,
office,
yeah.
and he was
Hmm.
stripping the funds
Hmm.
from the education. That man, that's almost 40 years ago.
It's happening in Louisiana with
Yeah,
Bobby Jindal. Bobby Jindal put it on this charter school initiative. Man, this deteriorated schools. Like again, a Republican that just
yeah.
took schools down. You know what I'm saying? And you're right. And when George Bush was in office, what did George Bush implement? George Bush implemented the No Child Left Behind policy. Well, what did that do? Well, that closed schools. So if you weren't a good performing school, it actually closed schools, man. I remember when we were in Florida, there was a certain school. Well, there was a charter school got created because a middle school got closed down. So
Yep.
all those poor black kids and those poor white kids went to I can't remember the name of the school. They went to this certain middle school, and
Mhm.
then white parents were like, "Oh heck no, you ain't gonna do this. No, we out of here." So they form a charter school. Now the problem is that they couldn't discriminate. So, but
Mhm.
which way? But they can. So how can they discriminate based off of grades? You know what I'm
And
saying?
they create the lottery.
Yeah, and exactly. They create the lottery system. They create the lottery system and say, "Oh, well, your child can't get in this, that, and the third." And luckily, I think the county that we lived in, they had a pretty active like department education there. You know what I'm saying? Where, you know, they looked out for things like, hey, the ratio, to these kids to this kid, they don't look too good. It look like you're trying to keep these certain kids out. You know what I'm saying? And things of that nature. So, they were like, "Oh no, look, we let them in. Like, what are you talking about?"
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
My
yeah,
my
yeah.
kids were charter school. Like
Mhm.
that's how it was. Just like you know, um, talking to my son, like he's like, Man, I've been around white people most of my life. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah. Hmm.
and it wasn't to his fault. It was because we decided, like, oh well, I guess this place would give him a better education. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Right, right, right.
And in all honesty, we never thought that. No, technically, our son was smart enough to just do well in public school.
In public school, yeah, yeah. I say the same thing about our my oldest son. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like we
bought
were
into the
thinking the same.
narrative.
Yeah, we were still exactly. We were listening to the narrative, right? And matter of fact, he actually came to us like, "Look, I'll be fine over here." We're like, "Hey,
Mm.
hey, look, man, no, no,
Yeah,
no, over here they say the
yeah,
charter schools are
yeah,
good." You know what I'm saying? And stuff like that. You know what I mean? And but again, listening to the narrative, like you said, he was smart enough. He'd been fine. You know what I mean?
yeah,
He'd been
yeah.
fine. But listen to those narratives, man. But yeah, man, it is. Yeah, man. I think that people are hyper focused on Biden's age
Yeah.
and not whether he can perform doing the office of the presidency, right? What does he do? You know what I'm saying? The office of the presidency. He called the Department of Interior and Department of Education, the
Mhm.
EPA, Department of Transportation, the Homeland Security. You know what I'm saying? All these other departments. All right, what y'all got going on, sir? This is what we got going on. This is what's going on here. This is what's going on there. Going on there. All right, cool. All right.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to set an agenda to Department of Education. I want to set an agenda to pay back some loans. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Hey,
Mhm.
HUD. I want to be able to allow people to have affordable, you know, affordable homes. Can you do
Hmm.
that? You know what I mean? Hey, Department of Transportation, we need to build some exits, into minority communities that were affected by the racism of, building highways, and stuff. Yeah,
Hmm.
okay, yeah, we do that.
Yeah,
That's what the president does. The president does not, you know, when they say they run the country, nah, man, president sets the tone for
yeah.
how, and Trump's tone is like he's just going to use the government to get back at people.
Well, that and also to enrich yourself, like you know,
Yeah,
yeah,
that too.
because you got to talk about that part of the presidency too. Like, yeah, he gave away his salary, but what he was charging the government
Right.
to be on his property, which he that's why he didn't stay in the White House, was he can charge the government a rate if he stayed in his own property.
Yeah.
So we end up paying him $17 million rather than $400,000.
Right. Exactly.
And people just don't understand. Man, you're talking about $17 million.
They were
And
too
when you
busy doing TikTok dances.
yeah, and, and
Yeah.
and like this is the stuff that I always try to tell people, like when they start to they're adults like me and you, they're around our age, and first thing they say is just like, oh man, it's not my thing, to get into politics. I'm like, you're a grown ass person.
That's what I'm saying.
You're grow up.
For real.
Grow
Yeah. Yeah.
up, man.
I said that to somebody today, man. Like, how many Jordan versus LeBron conversations we're gonna have today? All right. How many? You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, I don't give a damn what's going on with YSL. I don't care. That has nothing to do with me. I do not care, man. As entertained as I was with Kendrick and Drake, at the end of the day, I don't care. And y'all done ran the daggone song into the ground. Ain't even good no more. They not like us. Like, hey, all right, man. Look, that wasn't even the best song in the whole diss anyway.
Well,
Um,
now it's being gentrified, so it
yeah,
don't matter.
oh
Yeah,
my god, man. I mean, like, oh, there's that part of it, and I'm like, hey, you do
yeah,
know
yeah.
that in the day not like us. He's like, y'all not the us. Y'all not understanding it, man. But anyway,
They saying it with energy too.
energy, bro, energy, man, and they
But
they get it.
but again, back to your original point, man. What I seen by I was frustrated because he didn't come across as uh I guess pointful,
Hmm.
and like it was the tone was too melatonin. It was too easy,
Hmm.
too laid back, and I know that he was, because you hear him sometimes clearing his throat
He was
during
hoarse.
debate.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
was hoarse. Yeah, because he was on the campaign trail, and of course, CNN ain't bring that up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because he wasn't
They,
just on the camp. Like he was on the campaign trail. They also had him rehearse. He rehearsed 3 times before
right,
the debate.
right, and at the same time, still listening to these other departments, still having conversations and things of that nature.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's like, and he's
yeah,
an 80-year-old man. Like, come on,
yeah. While they're telling him he's too old to do the job, he was doing more work than Trump has did
the
in four
Trump.
years because he was just golfing.
He was man, and that's the other thing I was telling somebody, man. Like, yo, like Trump made it seem like he was working. This man golfed, and like you said, he golfed down at his resort because that's how we were paying him.
Yeah,
This man was not doing anything again because the office of the presidency allows you leisure because you have department heads. We are not a parliamentarian system. We have an executive branch. We have a legislative branch. We have three branches of government. They are co-equal branches of government. The president is not in charge of the House, not in charge of the Senate. The president, In order for a president to give a State of the Union address, that president has to be invited by the House in order to give the address.
Yeah.
So how then can you say that the president is in charge of something or running the country? The president's not running the country. The you know what I'm saying? Your governor is running the country. Your mayor is running the country. Your city council is running the country. Your state house, your state senate, they run the country. You know what I'm saying? Like the president charge, the president just like, hey, what's going on? Hey, Congress, let me come talk to you guys. Hey, I don't like the SCOTUS decision, so I'm gonna work around the SCOTUS. The SCOTUS said I couldn't pass. The Supreme Court of the United States said I couldn't. Said me forgiving student loan in the manner in which I was going to give a student loan is unconstitutional. Well, I'm gonna work around them. I'm gonna just go another route. You know what I'm saying? That is what the president does.
So I'm gonna put a little insight in that, right?
Hmm.
The president communicates with his staff, which are the lawyers that's around him,
Right.
and they say, hey, what's the legal ramifications or the legal way I can maneuver around it? So,
Yeah.
so again, people have to understand that when a president comes into office, it is 5,000 people
Right.
that is hired with the administration. 1,000 of them are appointed.
Right.
People have to understand that. So when they talking about Joe Biden's too old, he ain't the only person.
Yeah. For
You know what I'm
real.
saying?
He's
He's
not the
not the only
CEO.
person.
Right. He's
Yes,
not the
he
CEO.
he has a full team.
And he has a
N-
vice president.
Yeah. Now,
What are we
what people
talking
have
about?
to, I know, right? It's just like, man, please learn how your government works.
Please learn how
Please,
government works, man.
because you have to understand. This is why it's important. You just alluded to it. When Trump came into office, he sat on his ass, right?
Mm.
He didn't fulfill those 4,000 seat workers,
Right. He
and
didn't.
he barely did the thousand appointees. So when you're talking about that, it is things that were not getting done or accomplished in his administration,
Yeah.
and it
Was
was no advice that was given to him. So he was trying to. He thought that he can go to the news and then say whatever he wants to say, and that's policy.
I mean, I think that's how they treated it. That's how the news treated it. Like he could go
Yeah,
say whatever he wanted to say, and they were like, "Oh, well, I guess." And it's like you're saying, he did not fill out most of those roles and positions with under the purview of the president of the United States. So, what happened during the pandemic? It was disaster because there were certain roles of people who were not there in those certain positions. You know what I'm saying? And again, people, y'all can look this up. Folk can look this up. You know what I mean? Whenever they brief Trump, everything had to be on one page or like a 3x5 card.
yeah,
Just think about that for a minute.
yeah.
You,
And he also asked if they can put it in color
and color.
on in a lot of stuff that they were presenting to him. Yeah, and this is real stuff, man. So
Nah, this
so
is real,
so
man.
so now we're gonna tie it in together, right?
Mhm.
So all of that happens, and when you look at Joe Biden and you looking how the governments were ran between the two, what you are talking about is not the age. You're talking about competency.
Right,
Competency.
right,
You talk. That's what you're talking about. Is that person competent enough
right,
to have the conversation with his staff around him that they can then come to a conclusion that's best for the American people?
right. Because that
Trump was in
debate,
the room. Trump was in the room cussing his staffers out
people
because
quitting
they were,
left and right.
because they were giving him information, and
Yep.
that's where you're talking about. That's where he only wanted on the card. That's
You only
where he
wanted a
only
car.
wanted on just a sheet of paper.
Right, and it had to be positive information. It could not be like negative stuff. So during the Trump administration, you had a lot of people who were quitting there during that time too, and are getting fired because they just couldn't satisfy, him. They're trying to be honest with him about what's going on, this, that, and the third. And like you said, he was experiencing, like we talked about, he was experiencing, the presidential lag from Obama. You know what I'm saying? So what we experienced during the pandemic actually sped up a lot of the problems that was gonna happen like this year. You know what I mean? It sped up a lot of the problems, and it kind of was a good thing for Biden because they're like, hey, look, we just got to pump a bunch of money in the economy, get people job back. We'll worry about it, on the back end. You know what I mean? Because that's the biggest thing. Oh, Biden spent a bunch of money. Well, yeah, he kind of had to because Trump, what I mean, Trump left it, and when Biden is talking about Trump left the government, in disarray, and I think he talked about that.
Mhm.
That's what Biden is talking about. Biden is talking about Trump not fulfilling positions, and because he didn't fulfill those positions or fill those positions, it caused a lot of problems. So now people are catching up. So once the Biden administration comes in, they fill those positions. People are playing catch up. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Trying to figure out what's going on, what's the best policy. You know what I mean? And then letting Biden know what's the best policy, and so on and so forth. To go forward. You know what I'm saying? And they came out with it like, hey, look, we got to spend some money, man. That's really what it
Yeah,
is. We got
and
to
and
pump. Mm.
that wasn't even it. In the pandemic that you were talking about, Jared Kushner, when it started happening, struck a deal with China,
Yeah.
right? Because what he was trying to do was get the first aid equipment
Mm.
and then basically sell it to America.
Yeah.
So that was going on. Then on top of that, like because of the tariffs that Trump put on China, you couldn't get the safety equipment or the respirators that was coming from China.
Mm. The tariffs that are still in place, by the way.
The
And that's
tariffs that are still in place.
another part of the greedflation that's that's happening. So,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and you can't
Because
just get
again,
rid of them. You can't just get rid of them because you're going to be causing a loss of jobs. So
yeah, and again, you got to know how tariffs work.
you got to know how tariffs work, right? Hmm.
You know, it ain't the other country that's paying it.
Hmm.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Exactly. Exactly.
We are paying the tariffs.
Right.
We're being taxed extra for the tariffs.
Right.
And you want to talk about Project 2025 and what Trump said he wants to do? He wants to do 100% of tariffs on everything that comes in America.
While at
You
the same time making tax cuts again.
32 economists just signed a letter.
Oh boy. Oh man.
32
People want to see a
world
depression,
economists,
bro.
bro. Yeah.
People
Look,
people want to see a depression. You go ahead, look. People want to see a depression. Like, hey, y'all want to feel what your great grandparents went through in depression? Like, listen,
look,
listen.
you have to go look up these 32 economists. These were I can't they were Pulitzer award
Hmm.
economists. So they
Hmm.
won like the highest award that you can win as an economist, right? And it was 32 of them. Literally signed a paper saying, "Yeah, Trump's economy is terrible and
Right,
it will crash in less than 2 years."
right, and that's what would have happened the first time during the tax cuts with the tariffs had he not pumped billions of dollars into the economy. That's what was happening because there was no fix, there was no, what I'm saying, it, it-
Yeah,
yeah.
they did. I think they did 14 to 16 months of pumping $500 million
Hmm.
into the banks.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
so
and
so
and they were
again,
keeping that, they were trying to keep that hush hush, but it's
yeah,
out there.
yeah.
It's
But
out there.
but again, when people talk about inflation, you gotta know how inflation works. When they
Yeah.
were pumping that $500 million to the top,
Hmm.
Well, where do you think that money went to?
Yeah, just stayed at the top. It just stayed at the
Oh,
top.
oh yeah. So what did you see places like BlackRock and so forth,
Hmm.
and those
Hmm.
people that have access to the money? What did you think that they did?
Hmm.
They went out and start buying the home.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. And that's what, and again, the trickle down economic. So now people who want to be entrepreneurs and want to get into real estate and get into generational wealth, you can't do it because guess what? It ain't much out here, man. It
No,
is not. And
no,
what is out here, people are starting to lose it. Like, yeah, man, listen.
yeah,
People aren't. They people think this Project 2025 is not real and it's it's a joke and oh Trump didn't say he support. Listen to me, listen, man. Hitler didn't say he wanted to kill the Jews originally. Well, he did,
mm,
but he did, but but he kind of said it in a roundabout way. You know what I'm saying? And they didn't
mhm,
believe him. You know what I'm saying? And guess what ultimately happened? You know
yeah.
what I mean? Yeah,
Th-
yeah, yeah.
through the same process that's happening right now. It
The same process.
started with the Supreme Court.
Man, and it reminds me of during the Great Compromise in 1877 that got I think it was Grant president. They're in Florida, they had a tie, so it was between the Democrat and the Republican, and the Republican at the time, the Democrats was like, "Hey, look, we'll let you be president if you pull the troops out of the South." So you
Mm,
pull the troops out of Louisiana, South Carolina, Tennessee, I think Florida too. Anyway, you pull the troops out of the South, we'll concede, and you can become president. Well, the eventual president at the time was like, "Hey, okay, as long as y'all can guarantee me that y'all are going to give these newly Americans their rights, y'all will maintain their rights." They were like, "Oh no, no, man, no, we gonna give them their rights. Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah, 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 we gonna do that. You know what I'm saying? Pinky swear and everything. You know what I'm saying?"
mhm, mhm,
So then later, the president he starts hearing about things that are going on in the South. So and Jim Crow starts being implemented. You know what I mean? Like slowly over time. You know what I'm saying? And so the president's like, "Hey, let me go do a tour around the country to see what's going on." So he does a tour around the country, and you know what he see? You know what I'm saying? Oh, there's black people like, "Oh no, everything good, everything good, everything." Yeah, they're saying that because there's like a white man like standing, around
mhm,
like one of the things that president ended up saying like, "Yeah, I went to a church and I went to a black church and they were having service, but I noticed a white man that was sitting in the background and he was just standing there." You know what I mean? And it like the light bulb like clicked, like, oh dang,
yeah,
I done messed up. And so once he's done his tour, they're like, all right, he's done.
yeah,
Bang! In come Jim Crow, and in come oppression of black people, and in come, and they try to, states rights, states rights, and all this other stuff. So yeah, man, people say stuff, and I said all that to say that people have a history in this country of saying one thing, particularly the right wing in this country.
mhm,
You're talking the old Democrats that are now the Republicans today. They have a very habit of saying one thing and then doing another. You know what I mean?
mhm, mhm,
Yeah, and then doing another. You know what I'm saying? They always say that. You know what I'm saying? Oh, we're
yeah,
gonna let the kids go to, they'll peacefully be able to go to their school. Then you got Bull Connor. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
you got Bull Connor like he's standing in front of school. You know what I mean? And things of that
yeah,
nature.
yeah. Look, man, it's the lily whites all over. It's like
Yeah.
you
No,
can
that's a great
you,
point, Lily White's.
yeah,
Mhm.
you can go down the line and people again get caught up into names
Right, they get
where
caught in the titles. The
yeah,
Republican, Democrat, just titles, man.
right,
Yeah,
and they keep saying, oh, the Democrats were the slave party, but not even realizing that was a party that was called the Democrat Republic. You know what
they
I'm saying?
become
Like,
yeah, right, right, right. They
and,
just they just dropped the Republican part.
yeah, yeah, that all of the stuff happen and not realizing that in that time that there was the same people with the same kind of ideology today that
Right.
was back. It's the same,
Yeah,
and
it's the same.
you can remove the name
Yeah.
because the
And
name is what's confusing people.
yeah, the name is what's confusing because the media does it. You know what I'm saying? The media does it,
Mhm.
and our school system, right? The school
Yeah.
systems has been slowly defunded, and so it takes civics out of class because they were tired of the hippies and the black people protesting in the '60s. So they're like, "Oh, we're gonna fix them." They're not gonna learn about how government works because you start getting people who like Fred Hampton who understands how government works. They become pseudo lawyers and things of that nature.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? So they're like, we're gonna fix them. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna take out civics. So they take out civics. You know what I'm saying? Where people learn about government and stuff. And then it's just further defunding the schools. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And now people are distracted. You know what I'm saying? Like people are distracted. And they're not distracted by information. They're distracted by entertainment, whatever
Mhm.
floats their, whatever they want to be distracted by. But a lot of it is I think that people want to be distracted. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
You
I
know,
know.
yeah.
I think you just hit it on the nail with that.
Hmm.
I think internally Americans are so sad.
Hmm.
Maybe a little bit of American depression. You know what I'm saying? Like you got to literally go. You're going through something every single day in this country
Hmm.
that doesn't need to be because it is the richest country on the face of this planet.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And like,
Hmm.
and when you realize that someone is going, they're taking their privilege, applying for a job to get voted in, to then make you work harder
Harder. Yeah. Right.
at your everyday job because you are not the person who's seeking the power.
Right. You
You know what I'm
know,
saying? Like,
yeah. In Project, I'm sorry, I'm going to cut you out, but in Project
no, you good.
2025, there's a part where I was reading a part where they talking about Social Security. So they basically want anybody who is younger than 59 would basically get their Social Security cut, and you would have
Mm,
to work to 70
mm,
to get Social Security. Ah, and you would get your
mm.
Social Security cut, like it would be cut. You know what I'm saying? Or they'll basically dissolve Social Security. Everybody who's 59 and older, they will get Social Security. So you would basically, I don't know, get money and something, and then so you just imagine being like 50, and now all of a sudden you dependent upon your Social Security, and now you gotta start dumping money into a 401k at 50. Oh
Well,
my god!
so you know, so also in Project 2025, you know how they're gonna pull that off?
Is that
In Project 2025, they're talking about lowering the wages.
lowering wages? Yeah, they are
Yeah,
talking about lowering wages. Yeah,
yeah.
no, yeah.
That's how they're gonna make you work longer.
That's how they're gonna make you work that. It is, and then you get rid of the EPA. So now they'll be able to poison you with whatever. You know what I'm saying? There'll be no regulation on what they can poison you with. There'll be no child labor laws. There will be no labor laws. Actually, there'll be no
No,
unions. Nobody be able to unionize anymore, or unions won't have that much
they,
power. You know what I'm
they
saying?
want to do away with 40-hour work weeks, bro.
Like they did in Greece. Greece to implement a 60-hour work week. What?
Yeah,
60-hour work or 6-day work week. I'm sorry, six
6 day
day
work
work
week.
work week.
Yeah, this is what's going
Oh
down, man.
God. And already in the Trump administration, so people don't know, in the Trump administration, Obama had an executive order that if you worked overtime, so if you worked over 40 hours, you were to be paid a certain amount of money. I can't remember what that was. Trump went in there and was like, rip that up, rip that up, man. So that affected people. So you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of things people don't know because people forget that Trump had what he had that that press conference, and he had all those stacks of blank papers and was like, "These are the executive orders from Obama that I have gotten rid of." You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's just blank
Uh,
paper.
yeah, yeah. And then
Yeah.
uh, Joe Biden just signed something
Mm,
um, dealing with pay. Can't remember
mm.
what,
Oh,
like,
okay.
but he just did an executive order
Mm,
dealing with pay, man. And like, look, so now if you're hourly,
mm-hmm,
and you work over 40 hours, your employer got to pay you overtime.
mm-hmm. That was the
So that
that was the
same
Obama.
thing as
It
Obama.
was like
Yeah.
yeah, it was the Obama executive
So
order that Trump
so so
Trump
Joe
ripped up.
Biden just put that right back.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah.
And so again, man, people got to think about, like, man, just listen to these policies, man.
Just the policies, man. The policies. You get wrapped up in who's older. Listen to the because again on CNN, I watch CNN for some reason. I was watching CNN, and they never once mention policy.
Mm-mm,
It is not there. Joe
mm-mm.
Biden's debate debacle. How can you have a debate debacle against a liar? He lied.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's like being in court and the judge like and you everybody knows the jury knows this person is lying, the judge know this person is lying, the defendant you know what I'm saying the prosecutor know this person is lying, you know what I mean? But the judge is like, hey, nah, I'm going with the defendant.
yeah,
The
yeah,
defendant made a better case.
yeah.
He lied. He's lying, clearly lying.
So
It's just like, oh my god, people
I,
are crazy,
I
man.
I knew the ruse was up once they got to Van Jones,
Oh man, once you get to that cat. Oh,
because because I can't remember the lady's name. She was sitting next to Van Jones,
mm,
but she made a comment, and
hmm,
she was trying to, like, get to the surface of a lot of stuff, and just like, well, Joe Biden did mention this, mention that, and Van Jones kind of cut her off a little bit. Um,
hmm.
and when he did that, he went back to the narrative
Yeah,
that was already set, and I said, "Oh, there it is.
yeah,
It's over." They sat down and talked about this.
yeah,
They sat down and they rehearsed this part to make this a narrative.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
it.
yeah. We're gonna make
It
it a
wasn't.
narrative. We're gonna
Yeah.
run with it. We need viewers. We need eyeballs. It don't
Yep.
matter. We gotta pay all these people, man. Which man, I just can't wait for CNN or all most of these news stations just to go away. Just to you know
Yeah.
go just die off, man. Because it's not helping any. They're not helping anything. They're not informational.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? It's all sensational. It's all infotainment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, again, especially for somebody like me and like us, you know what I'm saying, who tuned in, you know what I mean, to listen to this man lie for
Yeah.
for an hour and a half, man.
Yeah.
Just straight up lie. Just
Yeah.
lie. He lied about what was going on in Israel. Well, about Iran participating in Israel. Well, Iran wouldn't have participated in Israel had you not pulled out of the deal
Yep.
that
Yep.
was set forth. That
Yep.
was your fault.
That they
You
were
did that.
complying by.
They were being compliant, and everybody in the UN was like, "Hey, look, don't do this because they're being compliant. You're
Hmm.
going to cause problems."
Hmm.
Well, Iran making a decision based on any country of survival.
Yeah.
Now you can't even go back to the table. You can't even go back to the table and get the same deal done because Iran's going to be like, no, we want more because it got taken away from us last time.
Yeah. Yeah.
You big idiot.
Yeah. That's why when Joe Biden tried to go over there, they wouldn't do it. So
No,
so so you sabotage the next president from
Ex-
even even making the world slightly safer.
exactly, exactly. Because you're an idiot. You know what I'm saying? Because you're an idiot. And again, you know what I'm saying? Uh, um, these ripple effects, these things that we keep going through every year, really. You know what I mean? Because people are not plugged in, you know what I mean, like our parents were, like our grandparents were. And I'm specifically speaking of black people right now. They're not plugged in like our parents were and our grandparents were, plugged in. They knew what decisions to make, you know what I'm saying? Even though they still participated in low voter numbers, you know what I mean? Because
Hmm.
black people had to participate in voter numbers at 70% or higher in order to see actual real change. Um,
Hmm.
you know what I'm saying? And because the fickleness of, because white people are fickle, because white supremacy is fickle, and white supremacy is trying to protect itself. You know what I'm saying? In this country, we are at the mercy of this group on the right or the left who just aren't being pragmatic. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? When it comes to progress, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So we're left in the middle, and then people fall out because of voter apathy. You know what I mean? They rather pay attention to a TikTok dance. They rather, talk about
Hmm.
uh, LeBron and, like I said, LeBron and Michael Jordan, Caitlin Clark, and Angel Reese. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You know what I mean? Like that dominates the conversation. You know what I mean? Who on Club Shay Shay? Who
Hmm.
what Stephen A. said today? You know what I mean? And then name your relationship podcast that somebody talk about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All that stuff. Um, pop the balloon on it, whatever.
Stephen A. did say something crazy after the debate. So, but
Hmm.
I did
Yeah,
look. I expect it from him. Look
yeah,
here,
yeah, yeah.
baby. Look here. Proximity, proximity,
Yeah, it's
proximity.
proximity. Yeah, it's proximity, man, and that's why it is
Like,
proximity, man. Proximity. It is proximity.
what
Um,
what are you going to say when a guy who's a millionaire that shook the hand of the guy that used to be a, our former president,
mhm.
and like he's asking another president to step down because he's old, but not the other guy because he's a sex offender.
Because
You
it's
know
a
what I'm saying?
convicted
Or he's a convicted
convicted
felon.
felon. Like
Like,
in a country where felons who are not millionaires and former presidents do not get to do what Donald Trump is doing.
yeah, I can't relate to Donald Trump. I don't care what he's talking about.
I don't care
I'm,
what
I'm,
Stephen A. talking about, man. There's felons out here who can't even get jobs. They struggle when they just trying to be regular members of society. And here you
yes,
have somebody who's a felon who's running for the presidency of the United States. Not only that, you getting sympathy and empathy from people. Come on,
yeah,
dog. Come on.
yeah,
Especially from black people. Oh man. Come
yep,
on, man. Come on,
yep.
man. The very
But
group that you try to be against. Come on, man.
at the same time as Trump sitting here talking about he's going to implement a stop and frisk again.
Yeah. Oh, that's part of Project 2025. Is the have this big old giant police force
Yeah.
going in, stopping frisk. Like, look, man.
So, so as a black person, how do I relate to him?
Yeah, oh,
Because I know who's affected by stop and frisk.
Trump told you how to relate to him. Gold sneakers, gold sneakers, barbershop talk with Byron Donalds, and that barbershop talk that backfired. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying? And I'm glad it backfired. The Byron
hey,
Donald saying we're better off in Jim Crow.
yeah,
Tim Scott did all that buck dancing, did all that cooning. You ain't even you ain't even make the cut, Chief.
yeah. Tim, Tim Scott home right now. I shouldn't have got you pregnant. I was
Oh
fine
man.
single.
Oh man, I don't believe that woman pregnant, man.
I don't think she's
They gonna,
pregnant. Either.
yeah, right. I think it is. It's gonna come out like, oh man, we hate to say that. She was, though she tried, we lost the baby.
No, no, they're gonna adopt a Cambodian baby.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
go,
that's what they're
they
gonna
going,
do. Yeah,
yeah. And this is Tim's baby. No, no. Who's the pappy? Who's the pappy?
yeah,
I's the pappy.
yeah, yeah. Which
No,
which
no.
which again, and this is why I say flag on the play, because Tim Scott talk about all of this family. having pregnancies out of wedlock and all this other stuff. You ain't married
Hmm.
this woman yet, Tim, and she
Oh
pregnant.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That is out of wedlock.
Flag on the play, man. Flag
Yeah,
on the play, dog. Oh man. Okay, Tim. Yeah, flag
yeah,
on the play. Man, just go sit down somewhere, dog. Go sit down
yeah.
somewhere.
Because you could tell, like these people don't believe this stuff. They
No.
don't really believe it.
Mm-mm.
It just you have a citizenship that somewhat believes it,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't believe it in practice.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we want to be honest, how many men we probably come across that you just like, yeah, you probably just a fucked up dad. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you just probably just not a good dad.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Let alone probably a good husband. Like,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
we probably communicate and see a lot of men that we can sit
Hmm.
back and say that.
Yeah.
But again, they don't believe it in practice. They just want to see you do it.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. All right, bro. Let me go ahead and wrap this up,
Sure.
man. Any last words?
Man, last words is same thing that we usually always end the show saying. Man, educate yourself, man. And if you don't know something, cool, cool. And even if we're wrong,
Mm-hmm.
send it to us. Talk
Yeah,
to us.
some
Leave a
information.
comment.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, leave a comment. And we'll get back to you because we're gonna research it.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna look it up.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to do the same. Whenever information is passed to you, look it up. Do not just trust anybody with giving you information, especially information that could be detrimental to you, your family, and your children's future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, that's it, man. For me, man, I'll say history is prologue, man. Mean that history. We've been here before. You know what I'm saying? 2025 is nothing new. We see right wing governments that are popping up all over the globe. And so, what Project 2025 and Agenda 47 really are trying to do is implement a form of right wing fascist government here in America. It was already tried in America before, and it's just a continuation of that. You know what I'm saying? For Black people, we've grown up with our ancestors and our parents and our grandparents um, came up under an authoritative government. Especially if they lived in the South. They came up in right wing, fascist. Um, uh, Neo-fascists, I would say, um, authoritative governments that took their rights away, took their humanity away. And that's what Project 2025 wants to do. It wants to make the president a king, and then begin to take your rights away if you do not think as the king and as the controlling party does. And actually, it just wants to make the president a continuation, president, and it installs a dictator pretty much. So, pay attention to those things. Be less distracted. Be less distracted as we go into the election. You know what I'm saying? You can like Mike and LeBron. Okay, like it's okay. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
yeah. Be less distracted. But yeah, man. But on that note, as we get closer, we'll be having these conversations more and more. But we out.